Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 412 of the Dramatic Knits podcast. My name is Steve, and thank you so much for taking the time to check out this episode. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and joining me today. And if you're new, I hope you enjoy what you see. Please feel free to click the subscribe and the like button. And if you'd like to be notified of all the new videos that I put out, don't hesitate to click that little bell button to get a notification every time I upload a video. So, it's been a month. I'm here to sit down and chat with you about all the adventures, knitting, spinning, and yarn buying that I've been doing over the last month. And so let's jump right into what's been going on in the month of March. We have been to Nashville, Winterset, Iowa, and Chicago all in the last few weeks. And travel is really picking up for work here at Leading Men Fiber Arts. If you're new, my partner Andy and myself own an independent yarn dyeing business called Leading Men Fiber Arts, which has expanded over the last decade into a brick and mortar yarn store and studio, as well as we travel all over the country, mending at shows and festivals, and also supplying yarn stores all over the US with our hand-dyed yarns. So thank you. Let's talk about Nashville. So we were at the first ever Nash Yarn Fest hosted by Modern Daily Knitting, and it was a wonderful event. Other than the horrific rain and weather on the Saturday of the event, which people still came out in troves for the event. It was raining. There was several instances throughout the day that there was deluges of rain to the point that you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you. There were tornado warnings throughout the day, but they did hold off and the people did come out to buy. And it was a wonderful event. I'm sure there'll be things that change and evolve over the coming years as they put on the event. But they've already announced their dates for next year. Hopefully we will be able to return. We have plans to return for year 2 as long as we are accepted. But yeah, we had a good time down in Nashville. We stayed in the Vanderbilt area. We drove in and stayed about 45 minutes outside of Nashville because Nashville proper hotels are very expensive. So we stayed in Clarksville the night before the event. We drove in Friday morning, and we got there in time, set up, had lunch with our friends at Un Besito Fibers, and then got back, finished setting up. They had a preview event Friday evening, which was great to catch up with people, and we were just inundated with so many people that we know from all over the country, and I was like, it was almost, my brain couldn't compute because I would see people from other areas of the country and I'm like, what are you doing here? But people were traveling in for this event. And it was during this event that I was like, you know what? I want to grab pictures with all of my fiber friends. And so during Nash Yarn Fest, we made the decision that throughout at least 2025, we are going to be trying to snap pics with our vendor and customer friends, our fiber friends throughout the community at all the events that we get to travel. We are so lucky. Sometimes we feel like work is just overwhelming and just this big looming thing over us all the time. But we are really lucky to be able to do what we do and get to travel and meet all the amazing makers and creatives from all over the US and the world throughout our travels. And so I am having so much fun over these past 3 events documenting all the smiling faces of makers from all over the country. And it's going to be kind of my thing for 2025 is, fiber friends, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's a lot of fun to just share like I'm doing here on the podcast. The positivity in the creative world is overwhelming, and just do my little part to share that with the world. So the Saturday at Nash Yarn Fest was kind of, steady masses of people, which was great. There were a lot of vendors. There was 90 plus vendors there. There was a lot of yarn. So there was a lot of choices for people to make. And but overall, I think people had a great time. So We did leave Nashville on Saturday night. Again, we only got 45 minutes out of town and stayed in Clarksville again. We were gonna try to hit Paducah, but with the weather and we were tired and exhausted, we were like, you know what? We'll just finish the drive on Sunday. So we drove the rest of the way home on Sunday. And then the following weekend, we drove to Winterset, Iowa and vended at the Heartland Fiber Palooza. And if you've watched my floss tube previous to this video, I talk about my visit to the Be Stitch Me storefront in Moline, Illinois. If you're into cross-stitching, I would definitely say check out their website. If not, if you can visit Moline, check out their storefront. It's awesome. They have a very similar story and setup to kind of what we're doing here. And I was so excited to be able to be a patron and be able to be a customer at that type of store. And Brandy, the dyer there, was very welcoming. So yeah, check that video if you're interested in that. But yeah, we did make it to Winterset. We set up Friday evening. It was relatively easy. There was a vendor who had to cancel last minute next to us, so we got to expand out our booth and have a big long run of beautiful yarns for people to peruse and squish. And of course, being able to take our pictures with our fiber friends again was a great time. So we vended that on Saturday, and then we ended up staying in Cedar Rapids Saturday night because we didn't want to do the full 6 hours home. And then we got up Sunday and I drove the last leg of home. And then we got to spend the rest of the day relaxing, since Sundays are supposed to be our days off. But with travel, that doesn't always happen. And then we were home for a weekend, which was great. And we had a local knit group in from Decatur. The Mosaic Knitters came in that Friday, and we did a dye class with them. Andy runs the dye sessions, and I kind of help and manage the storefront over here, make sure everybody's comfortable and having a good time. So it was great to see our friends from Decatur come out, and they all, I think, had a wonderful time dyeing yarn. And then this past weekend, we went up to Chicago to Yarn Con. Believe it or not, Yarn Con was not our first official show, but it was our first actual trade show. We had done a spinning guild or a guild kind of thing before, where it was just a table of our yarns. But Yarn Con was our first ever show, and boy, have we come a long way in the 10 or 11 years since we've done that first event. This year's Yarn Con was a madhouse, a wonderful madhouse. It had the same energy that it used to have pre-pandemic. The last 2 years, it was really good, but it was kind of it didn't have the same feeling to it. And the energy was there this year. It was absolutely wonderful. I was exhausted both days. Yesterday wasn't as bad, but Saturday I was literally buzzing from head to toe. I couldn't formulate my words. My brain couldn't keep up with everything that was going on. But yeah, we had, if not our best year at YarnCon this year, very close to it. We got to see, again, a multitude of wonderful friends, make new friends. We had several of our stockists, our yarn stores in the area come out and purchase from our booth, which was great. A little nerve-wracking for upcoming events, but we can only manage to dye as much yarn as we can. We are dyeing, Andy is dyeing as much as he can today. We are just always dyeing yarn, which is a great problem to have. But we love the indie scene in Chicago at YarnCon, and we got to have dinner with our really good friends, Antoinette and Anna of Black Cat Fibers. Antoinette is the main dyer now, but Anna still helps her from time to time. They don't get on the road as much as they used to, so we don't get to see them as much, but it was great that we were able to set a little bit of time, even after the exhausting day of Saturday. We tried to go to one restaurant and sat down and quickly realized after I ordered a drink that we didn't really want to eat there. So he brought my drink and we were like, sorry, we need to leave. So it was as with anything, everything's expensive in Chicago, especially drinks. But I downed a drink quickly, and then we walked a couple of blocks and went to a little bar cafe called the Expat, I believe. Andy and I shared some fish and chips. I had another drink. The girls had some wonderful food, and we got to catch up, and that was a great time. I always love spending time with them. But as always, if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you got to see the multitude of photos I had to take, or didn't have to take. I had to split our posts into 2 on Saturday because there were so many people we got to connect with on Saturday. And then I did a post yesterday after we got home. Luckily, Chicago is only about 2.5 hours from us, so we were still home. With it being light out yesterday, we got the van unloaded before we even got home, so that was one less thing we had to do today. Andy hit the dye pots hard first thing in the morning. He got up super early. I took my time getting up because I knew today was going to be a recording day. So I worked on getting orders shipped out this morning and taking care of a few other things. But then I recorded the floss tube. Now I'm recording the knitting podcast, and I am so happy to be here and to connect with you all via YouTube and the podcast. And as always, feel free to leave me any questions or comments down below. I would love to start the conversation and or answer any questions you may have for me here on the podcast. Y'all have been leaving some wonderful comments since I made the podcast public again last month, and it was great to catch up with some longtime viewers and welcome some new viewers and just start that conversation. So I'm living for making those connections. I think we all really need those positive connections. I don't know about you, but I do, and it's really filling my heart, so thank you. All right, let's jump right into finished objects. I did finish my basic triangle garter tab shawl by Heather Robinson. Heather is one of the duos behind Brenda and Heather, or Ba Yarns. And I used one of the Ba Yarns Lightfoot Shawl in a Ball skeins in the Who's Shawl colorway based off of Doctor Who. And I knit this using a size 6 US 4mm needle. So this baby is large, in charge, and done. So basically it's a basic triangular shawl, but they've dyed the skein to where the striping does all of its own work. And I did stockinette until that last burgundy color, and then I did garter to make sure it wouldn't curl on the ends, laid it out on the blocking mats, and she's done. So, yep. I would say this might be an auction next month, but I am not sure because we talked with Brenda and Heather about bringing in some of their Shawl in a Ball yarns to the store. We are just waiting to kind of fatten up our bank accounts a little bit. It has been, it's been a struggle over the dry months when we're not traveling over the winter. So, and with, the new building and insurance, so many different insurance policies we have to pay for, and payroll for our studio assistants and workman's comp insurance, and all the bills just kind of roll in at this time. So we need to make sure that we can pay those bills before we bring in new products. But I'm excited to potentially bring in some of these Shawl in a Ball skeins. I did purchase one from Brenda and Heather at Yarn Con yesterday, which I'll show you in Stash Enhancement. But I just love a good old fingering weight shawl in a size 6. I love the drape, the lightness of it, and yeah. So this was a great experience. I was sharing my tale of woe that I had to rip the knitting needle out of this. This was started as a vacation project when we were in Cancun in January. And when we were flying back, TSA in Cancun made me hand over my knitting needle, so I had to rip it out. It sat in timeout for about 3 weeks till I picked it up and realized I was able to pick up all the stitches and continue on with the project. And I'm so glad that I didn't have any other issues with that, so that I could finish this out. But yeah, they do a beautiful dye job over at Brenda and Heather Yarns, and excited to see them. If I don't see them, I probably won't see them again until the beginning of June at Hoosier Hills Fiber Festival, which the two of them help are the main organizers of that festival now. All right, let's talk works in progress. What have I worked on that's still on my needles in the last month? stuff everywhere. Actually, that'll come first. I was trying to get everything around me to make sure that, you know, it's all in arm's reach, and things are on things on things. All right, the first project I'm still working on, I'm getting close to finishing. I did not finish it in time for our Create and Collaborate deadline for Q1, but that's okay because I don't get any incentives for it. I am working on Adriana by the Berroco design team using Berroco Millefiori Light in color number 6821, which is Andromeda. And I'm using a size 5 US, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle. This is the full skein in a ball, and it is a sport weight single ply color shifting yarn. And I am so close to being done with the second side panel on this poncho. So here we are. This is last time I think I had just finished the first side. And here I am with the second side. You can see there's not a ton of stitches left before I finish my decreasing and then bind off. And then I have to do, I think, crochet, a single crochet around the collar to tighten that and make sure that's secure. And then you pick up all around the bottom and sides. You knit a row or two, you do an eyelet row and bind off, and then you attach fringe all the way around the bottom of the poncho. So I'm knitting this as a shop sample here for the storefront, and I'm excited to be close to getting this done. But yeah, it's enjoyable. I don't do a lot of garments because they take me a little bit longer. And while this is a poncho, not a sweater, I'm still enjoying the process very much though. All right, the next project you did not get to see last month because I had just cast it on, but the pattern hadn't been released yet. It did get released the day I recorded the last podcast, but we now have yarn sets available for this, but we're out of this colorway currently. We do need to dye more. And that is Among the Wildflowers by Lisa K. Ross, who is also known as Paper Daisy Creations. And she did not design this shawl using our yarns, but she does reach out to a few select indie dyers to create yarn sets if they so choose. And we decided to jump on the bandwagon. So we did 3 different yarn color combos for this shawl, and this one mimics the originals, the original color palette that she used that was not our yarn. So the main color of this shawl is Leading Men Fiber Art Showstopper in the colorway Krampus, which is this rich dark green layered yarn. And then I'm using 6 mini skeins of in our Showstopper mini skeins in the colorways Grease Lightning, Knitty Natty, Suns Out, Buns Out, Snark Attack, and Sugar Plum Fairy. This is a great one for a very subtle to semi-solid main color, and then using speckles for your mini skein contrasts. And I have gotten all the mini skeins introduced here. So you're doing this Wildflower stitch, which she has a great clickable video link tutorial in the pattern that I used to follow how to do this stitch. It is not hard. It just takes a little maneuvering. But so I've gone through all the colors. Then you kind of do this rib stitch section to split it up, and then you go backwards doing the Wildflower stitches again before you do some striping at the bottom. So there is Grease Lightning, Knitty Natty, Suns Out, Buns Out, Snark Attack, and Sugar Plum Fairy with the Krampus as the main color. So it is on this needle. It is kind of hard to show you everything, but I was really happy since I did put the color combos together for this. Now this one was again mimicking, but it's not always a 1-for-1 because we're all indie dyers. We create our own colorways. But there are some similarities between the color palette, between her original. But I also did put together, like I said, 2 other color palettes, and I think they will work wonderfully with this pattern. So I'm enjoying it. It's just like last night we got home, and by the time I got everything put away and sat down and organized, I think I got 3 rows knit on this. And then I was like, okay, it's time to get ready for bed. Which is the story of my life. Just when I'm like, I'm ready to craft. And I'm like, no, it's time for bed. All right, and that's being knit on a size 4 US 3.5 millimeter needle. All right, since I finished the shawl on the ball shawl, I did use my random number generator on my stash on Ravelry. I download the Excel spreadsheet and then I randomly generate to see what yarn I should knit with next. And it picked up a kit. It picked a kit that I purchased at Stitches in Atlanta, maybe? Of course, pre-pandemic. I want to say it was like 2019 that I got this kit, and I picked it up from the Yarnery, which is a yarn store based out of Minnesota. And this is just called Stole by Theresa Gaffey, and it's using 9 skeins of Isager yarn, Alpaca 2. These are 50-gram skeins of Alpaca. Well, no, it doesn't say on the pattern what it is, and all my ball bands are in there. Anyway, it's a alpaca or alpaca blend. And this is just a big stole with 9 striped colors. You're knitting it lengthwise. So there's a lot of stitches on the needle, and it's a simple pattern. It's a simple rib pattern. I did have an oopsie daisy. I had one of these. I had cast on using one of my Indian Lake Artisans handcrafted needles, which are wood, and they're hexagonal, and they're lovely needles, but I put it on the armrest of my chair. I crafted upstairs, and Andy's like, it's time for dinner. And I was like, okay. Well, it's a deep chair, and so sometimes I have to like scoot halfway up and then, you know, kind of get up out of the chair. Well, I put my arm on the armrest and heard crack, and I split the needle, and luckily I had to spend most of the rest of that evening picking up my stitches and making sure that I didn't lose or drop stitches. But this is color 1. It's this beautiful ochre color, and I have 2 more rows to do on this, and then I switch to the next color. And it just looks like this. It's just a big rib, 8-stitch rib. And then I go to the next color, and it just goes through the 9 colors. It's a color blocked ribbed stole. But sometimes I like mindless. I like big projects, but mindless is easy for me to just pick up and be able to just knit without having to give too much attention to, because honestly, by the time I get to craft, my brain is usually pretty tired after all of the other things going on in life and work and business afterwards. So this is being knit on a size 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle. All right, those are the only 3 works in progress that I have going on right now. Spinning, I'm still working on spinning some Hello Yarn organic Polwarth in the Skep colorway. I am on the second 2 ounces, but I don't have anything to show you there. I don't have a Lego update for you because I don't know exactly what I'm talking about. I did mention to Andy about taking a picture, and he mentioned a project he could snap a photo of, but he didn't do it. So we'll save that for next time. But he has been doing a little bit of Lego here and there when he can. All right, let's move into what I've been watching and reading. I actually don't know if we've finished any shows that I've really felt noteworthy to share with you. And I did finish listening to only 1 book over the last month. I am working through another one. But this one, many of you have probably read or know of, and it is a longer book. And that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is the Empyrean Book 1 series. And I heard, especially in FlossTube and cross-stitching, everybody was talking about this book since the 3rd book in the series came out recently. So I was like, well, I'll give the first one a shot and see if I like it. I did like it. I'm going to read you the synopsis. It's not my usual genre, but I did enjoy the story, and I felt like there were times that it got very geographic within its own world and setting up and storytelling, and that sometimes it glazed over me, especially because I wasn't reading it. I'm sure the book probably has a map that explains, things better. But here is the synopsis for Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. 20-year-old Violet Sorrengail was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now, the commanding general, also known as her toughest Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite Navarre dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans. They incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Xaden Rorenson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders' Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet, with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly, the kingdom's protective wards are falling, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at Basgiath Warch College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only two ways out: graduate or die. So, yeah, I gave it, it's got 4.58 stars on Goodreads. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. I enjoyed it. Again, it was outside my wheelhouse. I will definitely read the second one. I just needed to give a break, so I'm reading a suspense thriller right now. But yeah, love to hear what you're reading. Any recommendations, please leave them in the comments below. If I wasn't already inundated with so many floss tubes and knitting podcasts, I might start booktubes or start watching booktubes. But I am enjoying the people who are sharing the book recommendations, and I've been jotting down books that sound interesting for me to read. I've been finding more time to listen to books while I'm cross-stitching, because my eyes need to be focused on stitching, not on a video. So I find that I watch YouTube when I'm knitting, but I listen to books while I'm stitching, and it's been a good balance for me. All right, let's talk about stash enhancement, because Steve's been a bad boy. I've been purchasing things at every show that we've been going to. It seems like I broke the seal with cross-stitching, and I'm like, I'm gonna break the seal with knitting and yarn and fiber, so it is what it is. Hashtag don't care. So let's talk first about Nashville. I've got a lot of my purchases in my new project bags. This is from Gussie Bags. He is based out of Nashville. I believe his name is Jay, and I got to meet his husband. Can't remember his name, but Jay was an absolute hoot. We got to chat for several times throughout the event, and he makes these wonderful bucket bags. And he just does one style, but they have the faux leather handles, and this very, it's not wax canvas, it's a sturdy material. And then it's got this rainbow tweed that I loved. It was understated, but still had a message behind it. And so it was the last bag, and I picked it up on Friday night, I believe, because I knew he didn't have a ton of bags. He did very well, and I was like, I know this one will be gone. So I was like, I'm nabbing it, and purchased a bag from him. It does have, looks like 2 pockets on the inside. I do wish that maybe there was a way to close it, but there's no snaps or anything, maybe even just 2 snaps on the inside. But other than that, love the bag. I love the durability. It is just my style. So really, really have been loving this bag. It's been holding all of my purchases. Now I actually get to put it to use. I then did get to meet Leanne of Forbidden Fiber Co. I have heard of her company and seen her at a couple of events, but we were never able to connect until Nashville. I I was a little bit fangirling with her because I found her floss tube. She dyes not only beautiful yarn, but beautiful fabrics and floss. I have since then made an online purchase for cross stitching, which I showed in my floss tube. But I did pick up 3 skeins of yarn. These are actually all from her Empyrean collection based off of the Fourth Wing series. And so I was like, you know, I'm reading the book, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm going to pick up some skeins for her. So she was absolutely lovely. I got to chat with her and her mom in Nashville. And so I picked up this variegated skein called Iron Flame. These are all on her Gluttony sock base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 425 yards. So I got Iron Flame. This is called Signet. And this one is called Morning Star. And that is a very dark blue. So I picked out the skeins that kind of coordinate with it. I forgot what project. I did find a project to work these all into. I'm sure it's a shawl probably, because if you know Steve and his shawls, it's my go-to. It's my happy place of what I like to knit. But I do like to challenge myself from time to time as well. So I've been trying to be good instead of finding all 3 of these skeins, even though I may put them in my cubbies at home together, not always finding them. When I do go to knit with them, it's hard to sometimes find them together. So I've been bagging them and going, you know what? I don't care. I'm not recording at home with the beautiful yarn cubbies behind me anymore. The brick wall is what you get with some decorations. But I have been putting like kitted projects together in bags so that I can easily find said kit or planned project in the future. I then got to chat with a chick that knits. I believe they're based out of Alabama. And I told them to pick one of their shawl designs that they had as a sample and kit me up something, which I realize I shouldn't do because people do that to me and I'm like, oh, it's so hard to do. But sometimes I don't want to make the decision. I just want to try out people's yarns and support other small indie makers. And anyway, they picked out a shawl pattern they had in their shop and I did queue it up. They put together this beautiful color palette. I'm not going to pull all these out. It goes from this black to this very, very dark aubergine to a sand, navy, this kind of golden yellow, dusty pink, this, I want to call them what I think they look like in our colors, like our black walnut colorway. This is like a pecan brown, and then the sky blue. And these are all on her deluxe sock halves. So these are 50-gram skeins. They are 200 yards, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 2-ply. And yeah, I'm excited to work on that. Again, kit it up nicely so that when I pull this, I can find it easy rather than looking for 9 individual skeins. And then Andy did a little yarn buying and he picked up a skein of Lolabean Yarn Company in their bean sprout base, which again is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards in the color A Mother's Love. And I actually thought that this would be a beautiful pair of socks for Andy's mom. Since he purchased the yarn, it's called A Mother's Love. His mom loves purple, and I thought, what better way than to knit socks? So I think I do have to do some holiday crafting this year because I have this that I picked up, or Andy picked up, that would be a beautiful pair of socks for his mom. And then I have another skein, so I'm actually gonna go right into that. Moving into Heartland Fiberpalooza and Winter Set, I picked up some yarn there. This is from a Whimsical Wood Yarn Company. And I got to chat with the dyer and her daughter and take a picture with them, which was amazing. And this is in their Super Sparkle sock, which is 437 yards, 75% merino, 20% nylon, 5% Lurex. It's the same yarn base that is our Sparkle sock. And this is in the colorway Fun Booth at Fiberpalooza 2025 Blues. She had the same dye style with different colored the main color with these fun rainbow shots. So this is like a dark bluey teal. And in fact, I was in their booth before we opened up, and I was like, I know how quickly people just gravitate to her booth, and she sells out of a lot of colors very quickly. So I wanted one with a good chunk of the rainbow. And so I was like, can you put this to the side and I'll be back to get it, pick it up later. And they were very accommodating. And I picked this up to most likely knit a Musselburgh hat or something like it. For our niece Avery, I thought this would be a fun hat for her. Since she's 11, about to turn 12 this year, I thought this is like the perfect color for a 12-year-old to be wearing. So I'm gonna knit that, and then I think I'm gonna knit something for our nephew for, I'm just not sure, maybe actually this other skein might be a fun hat for our nephew. But I'll show you that in a second. I then also got to meet the dyers and owners behind Shelby Strings Yarn Company. They are a relatively new yarn company, and they had these mini Surrey silk packs, these fade packs, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to make with it, and I still have no idea what to make with this. So I'm going to tell you what the yardage is, and if you have any ideas of what I can work some Surrey silk into to make this fade work, please let me know. This is in their Muppet Paintball collection. It is Surreal Lace Mini Sets, 75% Baby Surrey Alpaca, 25% Mulberry Silk, 183 yards for each of the 5 20-gram lace weight skeins. So if I did the math, it was over 900 yards of lace weight that I can use. And I do want to use all 5 mini skeins. So if you have any ideas, I could do something basic, but I'd love to find and really highlight this set. So there's those. So that's what I picked up at Heartland Fiber Palooza. And then at YarnCon this weekend, I really was good until the last little bit. The last hour I ran through to try to grab pictures with as many people that I did not get time to grab pictures with. And I was in the Brenda and Heather Yarns booth to snap a pic. And I was like, I need to pick up another shawl and a ball for whenever our next vacation is. Not necessarily Cancun, but any vacation. So who knows where that might be. Maybe it'll be Cancun next year, but who knows if we'll be able to travel to Mexico without a ton of headaches. Next year, we'll see. So this is Cold November Rainbow. This is the Unicorn Hair Light Base, which is 65% superwash merino, 35% bamboo. This is approximately 840 yards to 170 grams. And it is a gradient gray with blips of rainbow throughout it. It is very hard to see there. You can't see, but you can kind of see speckles of rainbow. But it's a gradient gray with speckles of rainbow. They had about 5 or 6 different shawl and a ball colors available when I was shopping yesterday, and this one nabbed my attention. So I was like, yes, please, easy, done. Have a skein for our next vacation. And then I was across from, I believe it's Emily. I'm so bad with names, y'all. I tell people this all the time. But we were across the aisle from Fangirl Fibers, and we were across the aisle from her at Shepherd's Harvest in Minnesota last year, which unfortunately we won't be at this year due to a scheduling conflict with H&H Americas, the big wholesale show. But got to chat with Emily and her studio assistant. Oh, we just became Instagram friends yesterday, and she's Sock Witchery on Instagram, but I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Again, names, faces, I'm a little bit better. I know most companies by their company, but I believe Emily, Fangirl Fibers, wanted to do a swap. She actually asked if we would swap skeins of DK because she's kind of doing like a memories blanket using other dyers DK weight from shows and festivals. And so she's like, just pick out something for me and I'll pick out something for you. And I was like, awesome. So I gave her a skein of our Bend and Snap because it just seemed to suit her. And I was like, do you like Legally Blonde? And she's like, yes. And then she looked at the name and she got a good chuckle out of it. She picked out a skein of her DK weight. This is 100% superwash merino, 246 yards. This is in the color Siren Song, and it's from her Haunted collection. So I was telling them I applaud all the different clubs and thought that goes into curating these collections that she does. Again, fangirl fibers, going after all these fandoms. And I was like, this very much mimicked the shirt I was wearing yesterday. So this is a beautiful color. I love it. She couldn't have done better for picking it for me. And it's a skein of DK, so I might do a hat for my nephew out of this for Christmas this year. So that's all the stash enhancement, just a few things, but Will Pig and I don't care is what it is. All right, let's talk about our auctions. If you are a member of our Patreon group, which I highly recommend, we have 2 tiers in our Patreon group, which is linked in the show notes down below. All money raised through our Patreon helps to offset costs of maintaining and improving the historic Taylor McGill building here in Clinton, Illinois, which we are now the proud owners of, and it houses the Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn store, which I'm sitting in right now. There is a lot of funds that goes into maintaining a 53-year-old building. This building is 53 years old. It was built in 1872 as a railroad hotel. And so we opened our Patreon last year to raise funds to do continued efforts and maintenance on the building. And the podcast was on there, but now it's public, but we're still raising funds there. For our $1 tier, you get access to the auctions we show here on the podcast, as well as access to purchase some of our director's interpretation skeins. Those are our one-of-a-kind skeins that either are trial colors or oopsie daisies, they didn't turn out quite right. And so we've been doing those directors and terps, which actually I will show you those here. The first 2 colors have been listed. I've been doing about 1 color a week. So 2 weeks ago, we put up a lot of our Targhee Twist DK. This is exclusively milled for us here at Leading Men Fiber Arts. It is 100% Targhee, but it is 66% superwash Targhee and 34% non-superwash Targhee. It is a 3-ply, so 2 plies is superwash, 1 ply is not. And it is North American wool, milled in Indiana, dyed by us here in Illinois. And this is our director's interpretation. It was a normal color that I overcooked, and it turned into this beautiful caramel color. Some skeins had a little more tonality and darker spots in them. There are 3 skeins of this left. There were 5 to begin with. 2 have been purchased. And then this last week, I put up 4 skeins on our Showstopper base. This was a trial skein that I was doing for a collaboration that's coming out here in the next few months. I'll talk more about that when that gets announced. But this did not turn out how I wanted it to for the collaboration. So this is mostly this dark kind of navy, gray navy color. And then there's this short little run of this kind of greeny speckled portion. And there is, I want to say 2 skeins of this available. So I dyed 4 in the pot when I did it, and there's only 2 available now. So if you would like to be notified and have access to purchase our one-of-a-kind colorways, you do need to be a Patreon subscriber at the $1 minimum. Either one of our paid Patreon tiers will get you access to our one-of-a-kinds as well as our auctions. And then we do have our $5 a month tier, which gets you those perks as well as exclusive coupons for when new yarn sets come out, and early access for any of our kits or collaborations or boxes that we come up with. We don't have any immediate ideas of things that we're currently working on right now at the moment, but as those things pop up, you will get early access to buy those, as well as getting exclusive coupons for any new yarn sets that we do. So like the Among the Wildflowers yarn sets, Our $5 tier got a $5 discount on those yarn sets to purchase those as well. So that's Patreon, but our last month we were auctioning off this over-dyed, I had this sample, April Jumpers by Rookie Knitz, in our front store window for too long, and it got sun faded. So Andy over-dyed it this really dark blue, and we talked about sizing and everything. So the winner of this was Laura. Thank you so much, Laura. We raised $50 to do continued maintenance and improvements on the building, and this will be mailed out to Laura here shortly. And we do have an auction for this month, for the month of April. I am going to be auctioning off my finished object from last month's episode, and that is my Festival of Stitches, knit using at Haynes House in 3 of their beautiful colors. And it is a long stole with a multitude of different types of stitches in there, and this fun little accent tassel right in the middle. The starting bid for this on Patreon is going to be $81. That is the cost of the yarn that I paid for when I purchased it. And then any added after that, of course, is incentive. I do ask that you leave a comment with a bid of at least $1 more than the highest bid. The winner will be invoiced via our shop, and the auction will close at the end of April. So check us out on Patreon if you want to know more information about that. Let's move into some things about Leading Men Fiber Arts that's been going on over the last month. Let's show you our colorway of the month, which is called Stalk to the Hand Rhubarb. You got to say it with a little bit of sass or you won't get the joke. But Andy created this beautiful colorway, which I'm showing you here. It just had such spring vibes, and we were tossing around ideas for it for a while. And then I literally was like screaming out loud in the studio, and I think I scared our assistants. I was like, it's rhubarb. It reminds me of rhubarb. Not that we eat a ton of rhubarb. I've had a slice of rhubarb pie once in my life. I remember enjoying it, but whenever I mentioned to getting it or Andy making it, he's like, meh. So, but it does look like rhubarb. So here it is, knit up. And of course we love a punny name. So I was like, it's a stalk of rhubarb, you know? And then we were like, stalk to the hand, like talk, you know, remember, I don't know, it was big when I was like in middle school. Like that was the big clapback. Talk to the hand because I don't want to listen. But this is stalk to the hand rhubarb. You can maybe read it there. And rhubarb, we made it look like RuPaul, you know, the two capital letter. Anyway, a little bit behind our naming and thought process. So this is stalk to the hand rhubarb, knit up. That's flat on worsted. Here it is in the skein. This one's on callback, which is our sport weight base. And then for our sock sets, we paired it with Love Me Tender, which is, you know, a much more darker saturated color there. And then for hat sets, we paired it with a Gypsy Dreamer crochet pom-pom. These are handmade, and this is in the colorway Bubblegum. So right now it's the 7th. Pre-orders for the colorway of the month are up through the 8th, like they are every month. I then close down the pre-orders. We inventory what we have left dyed up, additional skeins that we have dyed up, and those then get updated to the shop at regular price. But if you pre-order during the first week, you get exclusive discounts on all of the items in the colorway of the month. All right, I did want to mention that we have a new employee starting with us this week. We have a new shop assistant. So all of our other employees have been studio assistants, and they are wonderful humans that twist, label, ball up, skein all of the yarn, and as well as help with customers and manage both the studio and the storefront in terms of customers. But our friend Sue, also known as Prairie Bag Works, she's a wonderful bag maker and sewist, as well as an amazing maker, knitter, and she is going to be starting to help us out here in the storefront. We're starting with her joining us every Wednesday from 10 to 4, our normal store hours. Sue will be in here in the shop helping customers with yarn and shopping needs. She's going to be doing sample knitting for us and potentially crocheting for the storefront here, and as well as potentially setting up lessons for people who want to learn. We do get a lot of people who walk in asking if we do classes or lessons, and we usually just don't get the turnout for classes, and I really don't want to teach crafting. I taught professionally as a high school English and theater teacher for 8 years, and teaching and crafting, I did not want to meld those worlds. I wanted to keep those separate. So Sue is going to be available to start working with people with lessons and schedule lessons, not just on Wednesdays, but as long as her schedule works out. All that will be directly dealt with Sue. What she will be charging, payment, everything will be done with Sue for lessons. That's kind of her independent contracting work that she's going to be doing for us. But we're so excited to have Sue as part of Team LMFA. We think she's going to be a wonderful addition to the storefront, and I think she's really excited to be joining us. She may be potentially picking up more days, but we just know that we want her presence to be consistent every week, and she is driving in a bit, about 45 minutes away, to join us as a team member. So you know, she's more doing this for her love of crafting and being a good friend of not only Andy and myself, but also of Leading Men since almost the very beginning, if not the very beginning. And so it is, you know, it's a time in her life that she can join us here, and we're so so thankful to welcome her to the team. So if you can, come out. The craft lounge where I'm sitting right now will be open to all day on Wednesday. Bring a friend, grab a couple of friends. Sue will join you at the table. There'll be conversation, camaraderie, creativity, and chatter. So come join. We'd love to build the community here in our actual brick and mortar here in Clinton, Illinois. That being said, don't forget we have our Create and Collaborate Club every other Tuesday. You can find more information about that linked in the show notes, but also on the homepage of our website, leadingmenfiberarts.com. Our open weekends, we only have one open weekend in April, and that is going to be Friday, April 18th and Saturday, April 19th. That is our one weekend we are home. That is Easter weekend. We are going to be hosting Crafternoon from 1 to 4 on Saturday, April 19th. That being said, though, I will be joining Crafternoon because it's a fun time for me, but the Craft Lounge will be open. Sue will be here all day on that Saturday as well. We can't say that every Saturday it will always be open. It just depends on her schedule, but she is able to be here on Saturday, April 19th all day. So from 10 to 4, drop in, come craft, chat with Sue, check out all the amazing things we have in the store, and we'd love to welcome you here in Central Illinois. If you have not done so, feel free, if you are on Ravelry, to join the Leading Men Fiber Arts Ravelry group, where we always have about 3 different knit-alongs or make-alongs going on at any given time. In those threads on our Ravelry group, you will find coupon codes for our knit-alongs, as well as prizes for those who complete the knit-alongs in the time frame. We usually give every knit-along about 3 months, so it's plenty of time to just craft at your own leisure. Some people get chatty in there. Some people just join and post, which is great. That's what I would do if I were you. So it's very low stress knit-alongs over there. All right, upcoming shows. Let's talk about where we're going to be in the next month before I get to chat with you, because it is going to be into May a little bit before I get to record again. At the end of April, we are going to be in St. Louis for the Midwest Fiber Festival. That is hosted by Heather, who is the owner of Yarn Co in St. Louis. It's a beautiful store that we have done several trunk shows down there, as well as her wonderful staff and team of volunteers and the committee that run it down there. That is going to be Friday, April 25th through Sunday, April 27th. Friday is a preview event from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday it will be open from 9 to 5, and Sunday it will be from 11 to 4. That is at the Community College in St. Louis. It's in a suburb of St. Louis. but it is in one of the gyms. You can find all the information. I should hopefully have it linked down below. Then we are driving out the next weekend all the way to Frederick, Maryland for Yarn Centric. So this is a pre-Maryland Sheep and Wool event hosted by, I believe it is the dyers behind 29 Bridges Studio. We had the pleasure of chatting with them in person at H&H Americas 2 years ago, and they were really trying to sell us on coming out to do Yarn Centric. Last year, it was the same weekend as H&H Americas, so they weren't at H&H. They were running Yarn Centric. We couldn't be there. This year, we are able to make it out, so we are driving out to Frederick, Maryland, doing Yarn Centric. I am hoping to at least be able to attend Maryland Sheep and Wool the morning of Saturday, because we probably need to start booking it back Saturday afternoon. It's about an 11-hour drive for us, and be home Sunday. But we're excited to be at Yarn Centric for the first time. We've heard great things about the event. We just got told where our booth was. In fact, Leading Men is going to be on the stage in front of, or right in front of us is going to be the meet and greet area. And we're going to be up on the little stage in the arena or in the building. Not been there before, so I can't tell you much more than that, but they did send us an email with our booth location this past week. And then H&H Americas is right after that. Like, literally, we're going to have like 2 days to get ourselves switched over for H&H Americas, which is a big wholesale show. It is for industry insiders, for yarn stores, influencers, designers, makers, creatives, content creators. It's a big, huge thing. And every year we're learning more and more. We do feel like a very small fish in a very large ocean at this event, but we're learning and getting our traction and our feet wet. Every year we're doing a little bit more and gaining more wholesale clients, meeting yarn stores, meeting other designers, and coming up with new collaborations. And it's a huge event. Our introverted selves get very overwhelmed, but it is a fun event for not only Leading Men Fiber Arts, but also for the storefront. I get to see what is new companies and new products for our storefront. So that is Wednesday through Friday, May 7th through 9th. We drive up Wednesday, set up, and then we do a sample it event, which is like an hour and a half speed dating event for shops and people to go through and purchase samples of the people who participate in the sample it event. So Andy and I have been talking about it for weeks, but we actually need to sit down and do a little conference about what we're actually going to be dyeing up for the sample it event. And then, no, that's Tuesday night. Sorry, we have to get up there Tuesday. It is a 3 full day event. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is actually on the showroom floor with our booth. And it's 10 to 6, 10 to 6, and 10 to 3. So yeah, like, we will get back from Maryland on Sunday, have to flip everything over on Monday, and then drive up on Tuesday morning. Our staff is not even going to see us or have anything to do because we will not get anything dyed. But it's going to happen. See the stress? It's okay. It's all good things. But that's up at Rosemont in the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. And we're super excited. We've been working on like our big thing we're going to be selling to shops this year as a good starter pack for Leading Men to bring us in and try us as in their stores without a huge opening order or commitment. So yeah, I will not be checking in with you all until after all of that. It's going to be a very tight 3 weeks during those shows. So I'm not sure how much crafting I'm going to get done, but I am excited to return to you in May and tell you about all of those wonderful events, as well as show you what I did get done over the past month. Don't forget to like or subscribe for the videos so you're aware of all of the podcasts as they come out. And just again, thank you for the community that you all provide me I know I'm recording these videos, but I need that sense of community right now more than ever, personally, mentally, emotionally. And so you all are helping me by leaving comments and sharing and subscribing. So thank you. So until I see you next month, I hope you have a great month, and I hope you have are enjoying all the bright spots in your life. Check you out in May. Bye.